So our next speaker is one of the exceptional figures in the footballing scenarios of Maharashtra. A person who has thoroughly revolutionized community football and a person who has excelled in girls football and has reduced the inequality in gender. Let's welcome Ms. Tanaz Muhammad from Mumbai. Tanaz ma'am, are you there?
Yes, Fandan, I can hear you. Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. You're perfectly audible.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Tanaz. And firstly, just hoping that everyone is safe in their houses. And the people who are in Kolkata or West Bengal, my heart goes out to you all and hope safety reaches everyone soon. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to having a fruitful discussion with all of you here with whatever knowledge I have now. And we shall take this forward together.
Just to let everyone know, Tanaz is working as a Reliance coach in Reliance Foundation, as well as she is an premier skill educator, and she will be talking upon uh, equality in gender and girls football as well as community football. Tanaz ma'am, it's all over to you.
Okay, I'll just share the screen. And, is the screen visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am. You can just full screen it.
Yep, doing it. Okay, so as you can see, the topic itself, it says it's equality of gender and girls football, community football, and a form of grassroots football. Firstly, the very first approach when we deal with these two topics in grassroots, the very first thing that comes in mind is creativity. And that's the reason why my first page looks like a pretty cartoonistic thing because that's what grassroots is about. The first approach itself needs to be very creative, and kids really need to in a way stick on to whatever you guys are actually teaching them. So let's go ahead with the topics. Now, equality of gender and girls football. What are the issues that we face? The very first thing that we talk over here is the age old thinking. When we say that, it's about the conception that always comes to people that girls are not supposed to play a sport or girls cannot play sports. And when it comes to football also, because it's a pretty physical game, people tend to the thinking has come down the line that and it still exists in many parts. We say that we are in 2020, but I can assure you that it still exists. And I personally, I have met females who have literally said that, oh no, we are told that, we cannot play because it's a game for boys and not for girls. So that's one of the issues. The other one is society made barriers. Again, society made barriers is something that comes because of the age old thinking that girls cannot be into the game. There is no future for girls in the game, or girls cannot perform in football, or there is no way that they can work into football. So that's the second barrier. The third one we talk about is self-made barriers, and to be honest, this is the one that literally exists on a very larger scale because of whatever is told or whatever is seen in the past years that has come down through generations. There are self-made barriers. Girls tend to stop themselves on their own with even if there is no barrier because they stop themselves in their own head, and that's the self-made barrier. They tell themselves that they cannot do it, and that's the reason why they fumble before, like, just coming out and playing or even trying to get into the sport even if they like it. The next is doubt that is created but does not exist in reality. For example, this is a doubt that, oh no, girls do not have a career in sports, but the reality is something different. Girls do have a career in sports. Girls do have a career in football, and that is one of the major issues because the doubts that are there, we make self-made barriers, and we are just stuck over there. The next is biased practices. This is something that I think we are all working towards now, and I think it is something that should start from grassroots level. Bias practices is simple. We do not need to separate boys and girls. We do not need to give boys different tasks and girls different tasks. And especially when we talk about grassroots, grassroots is something when we talk about under 12 age group, and that's the age when kids are young. So that's the time we need to really focus on eliminating these bias practices. Next is missing awareness. When we talk about missing awareness, till date, even at this point of time, there are girls who are not aware of the opportunities and career options that are available in football. Besides playing, besides having that on-field experience, there are many other opportunities available, but girls are still not uh, what to say. They are still not aware about the 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 opportunities that are missing over there. So these are the issues that we have just listed down. And next, so exactly that entire thing creates a big doubt. All these points are the one that create a big doubt in a head of a female footballer. And then what do we practice to get rid of these barriers? Trust me, it is a slow process. It's not that things cannot change. Things are changing. We are in the process. It is a process. But these are the things that I have been personally carrying out on my journey when I am dealing with female footballers. And I have found personal, what to say, results when it comes to females coming and participating. So the first thing is teach them young. As when they are in the age of grassroots, that is under 12 or say under 10s or under 8, that's the time you teach them about what the game is and how comfortable they can be. Teaching them young to play together, to be in the game, the opportunities, just show them that what all is available. Teaching them young will actually help them nurture themselves into the game. Giving equal tasks. This is very important because till date, I still see some coaches doing this, which is something that I certainly am not in favor of, because it does factor and not the gender. This is very important. When in under when we are talking about grassroots, if we have kids playing, let age be the deciding factor and not what the not their gender, because it's important that we teach them at a young age how to be comfortable playing together. And that little comfort that we teach them as kids, that is something that will help them once they grow up in life. Because once, if we don't give them that opportunity to play together, that's when they start getting those differences, and then it leads to a complete different story of, of cases where girls end up giving the game after a certain year. So it is important to give equal tasks. Let age be the deciding factor and not the gender. Same opportunities. Now, this is a very classic example when girls and boys are playing together. Coaches tend to do something called as, okay, the boys can go for 3 touches, the girls can go for 5 touches. I personally feel let's not do that, because when you do that, that's where the bias practice is coming. Because we as coaches are telling the kids that the boys can do it in 3 touches, but the girls can do it in 5, and that's where the problem starts. So it is important that you teach them to get same opportunities at a very young age. When they learn that, till the time they are 12, they are reaching to their other age when they will be turning into youth players. That's the time they will become comfortable. So it is important to give them same opportunities. Teaching them to respect each other, using the game as a tool. This is something I think it's very much connected on a very larger scale in our, and not only in our country but worldwide. It is important to teach everyone to respect each other, and it's not only that only boys are supposed to respect girls, but it is supposed to be the other way around. And this is something you can teach using the game as a tool. So while they are playing together, you can motivate that boys need to pass it out to girls, and the girls can pass it out to boys, and give them equal opportunities. When you bring that equality in at the grassroots level, they will take this ahead with themselves when they reach to the youth system. Creating a comfortable and approachable environment, very important. Comfort is something that literally helps in the nourishment of a player when it is in the grassroots sector, and especially for girls, because we live in a society, or the way that things are here around, girls are pretty much scared to do things or even to talk. So we really need to build ourselves in a way as coaches where we create a comfortable and approachable environment for them. So even if they have any issues, it is important that they can come and share it with us. So it is very important to create a comfortable and approachable environment. Motivating mixed gender play. Let let whatever festivals you organize, or you organize tournaments and leagues that is under the age of 12 years old, please motivate mixed gender play. Ask people to put in teams where girls and boys are playing together, because the growth of kids until that age is somewhat equal. In fact, girls tend to grow much faster than the boys. So it is very, very, very important to motivate mixed gender play, because that's when the girls and boys will start to learn in a way to play together, and then they will grow up to being more comfortable in the environment of the sport. Focused work with girls in order to create awareness and comfort. Of course, all this is about equality, but when it comes to girls football, you have to do a lot of focused work with girls in order to create awareness. You need to create workshops, you need to take sessions, you need to make them understand that it's fine to be out there on the ground because of the self-made barriers that exist in their heads. So this is something much more important. If you're focusing on football, you have to do a lot of focused work. Understanding female and male growth cycles, this is something very crucial for us as coaches to understand that once the kids, let it be boys and girls, their body goes through a different change when they reach puberty. So it is very, very, very important to understand that cycle as coaches, because we are dealing with kids who are in the process of growth, and it is very sensitive. You will notice that many girls, once they reach their puberty, they end up leaving the game because they don't feel comfortable, and that's where the awareness and comfort level comes in. Because once you make them comfortable and aware as when they are in the grassroots age, the transition from becoming a youth from the grassroots will be very easy, and they will not leave the game. Role model, talking about role models, it's very important to kids to to know that there are role models who are doing things. So give them real life role models. Figure out a player or a coach, maybe in your locality, in your area, someone who is actually working for the betterment of the sport. Give them role models. Examples help in a very, very, very good way, because they help us literally understand and then grow. If they look up to someone, they literally learn to do things. So it is very important to have role models. So these are the practices that I personally am carrying on in my journey in football, and the change that I am trying to bring in when it comes to grassroots football or creating an awareness for women. This is something that has worked out pretty well for me, and I am still trying to do other things that will work out, but these are the things that have worked out on a very, very, very positive way. So equality of gender and in football can be literally achieved when we try to get these practices in place. And secondly, when we are actually dealing with grassroots kids, as coaches, try to use terms that make them feel equal. When I say that, so if your kids have come, there are girls and boys together, do not say girls and boys. Okay, you can just say, because you're grassroots sports and there has to be creativity, you can say, okay, champions, come on, let's hear. Okay, players, come on here. Give them that feel of equality, and they will learn to respect each other. So these are the practices in a nutshell that we need to do in order to get equality of gender and in girls football. Am I audible,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sanda? Okay. Some reason the PPT isn't going ahead. Give me a minute. I'm just trying to work on the PPT. Hold on.
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Yeah. Now, okay. So these are some of the examples of the work that I personally do when it comes to girls in football. And as you can see, there are three different, you can say, sectors that I have targeted. So the first picture, when I am talking to the girls, these are girls who are actually in the game, and who where I am trying to conduct a session for them, trying to create that awareness for them, and they are trying to actually come out and give it a try. So you see, they are all there on ground, ready to play. The next image, where you see girls playing football in a proper Indian suit, that's working with the BMC schools, that's the municipal corporation for the underprivileged kids, where kids don't really get an opportunity to play. But it is important to target them also, because talent doesn't exist just by seeing the class of a person. It exists everywhere. And for us, people being in development, people being in grassroots, it is our job. How do we manage to get those talents out? That is an example of working for girls in football and community coaching. The last image, I think that's one of the powerful images that I always like, and it's from one of the camps that I conducted. It's girls playing football, and the simple message that was given to them is being comfortable to play as they are. So some of them are wearing shorts and they are in their proper kids, but if you see, some of them are wearing hijab, and that's the kind of barrier that we're talking about, that we need to help girls to get rid of. So these are the kind of work that you really need to go out and do, because once you go out, once you create an awareness, trust me, there is a lot of talent that is hidden and stopped behind the wall just because they think they cannot do it. All you have to do is help them believe in themselves and at the grassroots level, and let them know that they can do it. And I think this is one of my favorites, and that's the reason why it's on the PPT. So after all the work that is done, you can actually achieve equality of gender and in girls football. And if you read, it's just letting girls know that it's okay to be how they are, and it's okay to take up the game. So if you see, the first girl says, they used to tell me you're too strong for a girl. I will always be strong to live my life, and that's the self belief we need to create. They used to tell me, you dress and walk like a man. I realized they fear me because they could see my strength. This one is pretty powerful. After that, they used to tell me women stay at home, but started playing and it changed my life forever. So that's the kind of work, and this is what we all need to work towards, because this is not something that can happen just in a day's time. It is a long process, and it is a process that really needs a lot of dedication, and that can be achieved in a very positive way in grassroots, because trust me, grassroots is the biggest feeder system available, where you can actually bring in changes, because that's the learning, that's the decision making kids take ahead and go forward in the youth system. Now we come to okay, so where our questions are concerned, I will be taking questions, I think, towards the end. Spandan, is that fine, or should I take questions first for the equality of gender and girls football and then move to community football? Or
I think you can. It's your choice, ma'am. I think there are questions coming in. You can answer them. But yeah, you can go on with the community football thing also.
yeah, okay. So I'll just go ahead with the community football, and maybe I will answer all the questions all together, because that will maintain the flow of the entire presentation.
Perfect, ma'am.
So yeah, community football, a form of grassroots football. I think community football is something that is so important, because let's understand the way our country is. We live in a very big country when it comes to population. Like there are a lot of people, and just by having a proper academies, proper clubs, we are still not able to reach out to the kids that are left out, and that is important, and that's where community football comes in place. So as an individual, as a coach, as an academy, as a club, it has to be your responsibility when it comes to grassroots football, that you take over a community and help them grow in the game, because that is very important. And throughout this presentation, I will show you how community football is something that literally helps us develop the game. The first thing to understand is football in community football is used as a tool for development. When we say we are developing a community, there are two different things. Development of football, that is the more professional approach, where we are trying to develop the game. But football as a tool of development, this is a different approach, where we are trying to develop a community through the medium of football. And trust me, this is vast. When I say vast, it can be worked on to in the entire country, because we do have so many different what to say, sectors of people available, different classes of people available. The community football has to be present, and as a tool for development is, you can develop a community. So if you know a community that doesn't really do well, and is going through some barriers, you as a football professional can actually help them develop themselves. Community football, let's talk about the importance. Why is community football important? Inclusive. Uh, it helps in a way, when we talk about inclusive, it's not only the development of players. You can develop coaches, you can develop referees, you can develop volunteers, and you can develop players who are available with special needs. Special needs is something that's a very sensitive topic, but special needs are also a class that we can actually answer through community football. So it is inclusive. It is not restricted to only professional players, but community football is something that can go out on a very large scale. Development through football, as I explained it to you, in community football, the development is done through the medium of football. So there are many like when I talk about Premier Skills is mainly about community coaching, how we can bring in gender equality, how we can work towards hygiene, sanitation. There are a lot of different social messages that we can give through the medium of football for a community. Purpose. It's very important for a community to have purpose, because sometimes we find that there are a lot of wrongdoings happening in the community, and you see young kids, young like as young as 8, 9, or say younger than that, getting into bad habits. If you can change that by bringing football into their lives, you provide them with a purpose, and that's the reason why community football is important, because it provides a purpose to the kids, because the kids who are actually busy of getting themselves into any activity which are not required, they can actually come out and play football. So that itself gives a purpose, helps in creating a positive environment for the game. Let's focus on the point that when we talk about this, it creates a positive environment for the game. So there is two-way work happening. No doubt we are developing a community, but through the development of the community, we are actually developing the game also, because we are taking the game to a larger scale of people, and that's what we want, being people and coaches or individuals in the game of football. We want to take the game to all the corners possible. So yeah, that's how it helps in creating a positive environment for the game. Creates awareness and opportunities. Once you take the game to the community, you can actually help them create awareness and opportunities. And when I talk about opportunities, there are opportunities of becoming coaches, there are opportunities of becoming people who work on the management side, there are opportunities of becoming volunteers. There is a lot of opportunities, and that can be done by creating awareness. Feeder system for growth of the game and individual. Very, very, very important. I will give you a small example of community work that I have done here and how that has been a feeder system. So when I talk about feeder system of growth of the game and individual, when we are developing, so say a community has around 50 kids, okay, all 50 of them are on the ground. It's not possible that all 50 of them will take up the game and go ahead to play professionally. But it's not impossible also. What if out of those 50, you manage to produce one player that can actually go ahead in the system and become a professional player? As a coach, as a person in grassroots football, you are achieving your aim of community football, because that is the aim of community football, of providing facilities to players and children who cannot literally get the opportunity. And once you create that base for them, it actually creates a feeder system for the growth of the game and individuals. So if you are able to provide players to your youth system, what better than doing this then? Now I talk upon uh, the work that the community work that I was talking. So in 2017, I was actually asked to do a football festival in a locality in Mumbai, where there are mostly male footballers who actually play a lot. And when I went there, the registration for boys over there was around 1,200. We had around 1,200 boys who wanted to play, and there were no girls in that. So the only thing that I had to go and ask them was, because why are the girls not there? And they tell me that the girls are not there because they feel they cannot play, they're not comfortable because of the dressing. And I said, no, that's not the point. They really need to start believing in themselves. And what I did was, the mothers who came to actually drop off their sons, I actually went and spoke to them on a span of 2 days, and I asked them, do you have daughters? Can you let them play this, that? And it was a long conversation that I had with them. Trust me, in 2 days, I had around 400 to 500 girls who actually came out to play football. and not only from a certain age group, from the age of as young as 4 to the age group of 16. So imagine one conversation in a community can actually help so many of the players to get rid of that barrier, and that is during the summer camp. The after effect of the summer camp was the schools in that locality actually started their own girls football teams because the girls were now interested, and they are still playing. They are playing the local school tournaments here. The academies over there started their girls football teams. Nonetheless, the mothers who actually missed out on opportunities when they were young, the mothers also asked me to train them, and my morning is to start by training the mothers first and then coming and training the girls. So if and now the role model theory that I spoke about, if you think your presence and the way you talk and the way you convey the game to people can actually help them get rid of those barriers, then I feel you should go out and do it because it is very, very, very important for the development of the game also. So this is just an example of the community work that I did, and that is still on over there. So it has to be continuous. It's not that once you have done something, it stops. It has to have a long-lasting impact, and that's when you can develop a community through the game. Now, the various activities that are conducted in community football, I'll give you the examples of the activities that we conduct here and that have been very, very, very positive in getting a good change in the community. Awareness programs. It is important to create awareness about the game, about the opportunity, about the platforms that are available in the game for the people of the community. People need to know that football is now, at least at this stage, football is just not about being on the ground and playing. Football has come out to being referees, to being physios, to being coaches, to being coach educators, to being people in marketing and sales. There are formal educations, and that can be done only through awareness programs. You need to let people know the various opportunities that are available in the game. It's not only about playing because some people think, I cannot play ahead anymore. It's done. There's no career in the game, but that's wrong. There is a career in the game, and we really need to create awareness about the career opportunities available and let not people just give up on the game because they feel and they are in a misconception that there is no opportunity. Workshops. Workshops create a very, very, very positive impact. Because workshops are sessions where you actually work with kids, parents, and coaches. And trust me, whenever it's not only in community football, I think on a larger scale also in normal football practices also, it is important to update parents also because parents are the main decision makers for kids. So the parents need to understand what the kid has signed up for, what is the kid getting, and what are the opportunities available because parents they want the best for their kids, and that's the reason there are many kids who end up giving up on the game because they think there is no career in football, and then once their schooling is over they take science or they take engineering, and that's it, that's the end of game for them. But no, it's not like that. Now there are formal educations available in football. There are courses, there are degrees that you can take for the sport and then create a career for yourself in the game. So it is important to have these workshops for coaches. I always feel that no learning is ever a waste of time. If you think you have done a certain level of studies, you have to keep on upgrading yourself. And that's the reason, that's the only time you will actually go and get a change because if you are ready to collect knowledge, you will collect that knowledge and go out in the community and pass on the knowledge. So it is important to keep upgrading yourself as coaches, do courses, do online courses, attend workshops, go get your knowledge upgraded as and when available. The other activity is league. uh, what we do here, we do organize community leagues here. So we target an area, and that area itself helps us form at least 8 to 10 teams when it comes to the age group of grassroots, say under 8s, under 10s, and under 12s. And we conduct leagues for them. So there are 2 months of league games happening just for these kids, and the kids are coming out to play. Remember, the motive here is not to create an atmosphere where kids are just going out there and playing, and just they want to win. But the motive is to provide more touches for the kids because grassroots football is about creating that opportunity for kids where they get comfortable playing with the ball because at the grassroots age level, The kids will actually learn to become comfortable with the ball, and once they go in the youth system, that's when they will actually utilize that comfort zone. So it is important to create such leagues. No doubt, winning is important, but as coaches, your main aim shouldn't be to actually go out there. And I'm again talking about as grassroots coaches. Your main aim shouldn't be about going and winning a title, but your main aim should be about creating exposure for kids, giving them those touches with the ball, and giving them opportunity to actually come out and play. And if you think your kids are getting them, then that's your biggest achievement because you're actually helping the kid get developed through the game. Festivals, I think in the previous session we spoke about what festivals are. Conducting festivals actually brings in a lot of people together, and community festivals are a very best way to actually engage everyone. So the kids are on the ground playing. You can call in parents as volunteers, and trust me, that's the new thing. When you want to that's what the baby league is around. That's what grassroots football is actually being around now. Get the parents in as community coaches. Coaches, let them know they are in as volunteers. They can help you organize such festivals, and you don't really need to go out looking for coaches when you can train your own parents to become volunteers or coaches and utilize them in the system, in the community. So you become self-sustainable. So the entire community. So imagine this scenario. The entire community comes out. The coaches are there. They are organizing a festival. The parents are volunteers. They're helping in organizing the festival. The kids are on the ground playing and performing. What else do you need when you talk about development of the game and development of the community? Training sessions. Uh, I think training sessions are very crucial because we, of course, the above whatever we spoke about is about giving exposure, giving them that opportunity. But it's important that in a community you need to figure out players who you think as a coach that they will actually come out and do something exceptional for the game because and you can actually tap such players. So in the entire in all the workshops or say festivals or leagues, whenever you see certain players who are actually doing good, you can organize twice a week trainings for them. Get them in your training sessions, conduct sessions for them where they are doing actually focus trainings with technical and tactical ability. And that's when you will help produce players through community football. Opportunity to attend elite games in order to experience stadium feel. There are many kids who don't really get the opportunity, and not only kids, but parents also who don't get the opportunity to go and attend a game, maybe an I League game or an ISL game, or say whatever league that is on in your particular community. Try to create that opportunity where you can take them on the ground and show them the entire ambience of how exactly the environment is, because that itself leaves a very big impact on the kids and on the parents, because when they see that this is what lies ahead, players playing, coaches coaching, there are referees, there are medical teams, the opportunities are just out there, and that's the real life example you can actually provide these people. So try to create these opportunities. And this is something very, very powerful. So community football helps in changing this, where you see parents sitting and just watching the kids play. Community football will help you change this to this. As you see, there are women who are actually out there. They are in the first picture, that's me who's actually training these females. And about the camp that I spoke about, I used to train them. So that's how they came to do workouts. And imagine the only barrier was they thought they cannot do it. But the only thing I had to do is believe in themselves that they can do it. And that's it. They are in their complete hijabs and they are out there. They are doing it. There is no rule that is broken. There is no sentiment that is heard. But there is a very, very, very positive picture of females coming out and doing what they can do. And this is what community football is about. I mean, you have to help people get rid of the barriers and come out there and experience the beautiful game. In the other picture, these are mothers. I mean, these mothers were the ones who were getting their kids to play the baby league. But once they were given the opportunity, you can look at them. The pictures are doing the talk for themselves. The mothers are actually so engrossed in it and they are actually playing. So the main focus for all of us always has to be that how you help people get rid of the barriers, and then you can achieve all the three main points that I was talking about. That's gender equality and girls in football and community football. And this is a saying that I always like and I always want to share. So it's alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. And that's how important community football is when we talk about development of the game and of the people in it. And that once you start working together with community football, with girls football, and focusing on the grassroots sector on getting equality of gender, the points that I focused on, I think those are the main game changers, and we really, 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 as grassroots coaches, need to work on those so that in a way we can actually bring in a change and develop the entire image of football in the country. So yeah, that was my last bit. If there are any questions, we are okay to go with.
Okay, ma'am. So I think it was an amazing session, ma'am. We have a questions, but which are general and which you have already answered. But
Okay,
I have a question, ma'am. We organize, like people and we, everyone organizes baby leagues, right?
right.
But unfortunately, we see a lot of, a lot less turnover of the girls. So,
Yes.
like we have seen in FIFA Just Play. So, do you think making the participation of girls in a match, like in the game time, can we make it mandatory to resolve this issue at the grassroots level? Like, if, for example, if we can have one girl in each of the under six, under eight, or under nine, or any of the age groups, can that resolve the issue of having a less turnout of girls?
Yes, actually, this is something that we have done here. So here for the MCGM schools, we organize a tournament for the grassroots games. Okay, there's under 12, under 10 that play this tournament, and under 8, and these are the three age categories. And the mandatory rules that we have made is that every team needs to have at least 3 girls. The least is 3. They can go more than that, but every team needs to have girls there. And when on field also, there has to be at least 1 or 2 girls on the ground. You cannot play only with boys in. So I think making things mandatory is the way ahead initially, because once they get used to it, then everything comes in place. But once it is not once they are not used to it, that is a problem. So I think making things mandatory is somewhere where you can actually get then achieve that target what we are talking about.
Okay, okay, ma'am. One question more which I had in my mind was like you're talking about community football and the need for it. So, ma'am, when we go towards the rural part or the remotest section of India, and we try to develop community football there. So, do you think there should be at least one licensed coach in that community where at least there is someone who can oversee the coaching part and instruct and try to develop other parents into coaches or maybe the budding coaches?
Yeah, I think it's important. I think a license course, when it's because we are focusing on grassroots, okay? So I think grassroots leaders or a E license or a D license, just to know about because if we are focusing on grassroots, we are looking of creating awareness, giving opportunities. So yes, having higher license, I mean, it's always a blessing. You have more understanding of the game with different perspectives. But yeah, having a little like I know getting the highest license, it's not easy because it's a procedure, but having a basic license also should be mandatory, because that's when you understand what the game is, and then you can actually help in such areas to build it up and to create that platform. Because having an understanding, having knowledge about it, and then passing it on is much more helpful than just going out there blank and not knowing what is to be done. So it is important to take the learning, utilize the learning in a way where you can implement it in your sector wherever you are working. So just take the understanding, grasp the knowledge, and then once you know what your area is, what your community is, there you accordingly just implement it. I think that is necessary.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. So I think we had a few questions on how do the coaches tackle the puberty age of the girls, but my question would be a bit different to this. So, do you think the licensed coaches and all the other coaches should be educated on this matter on the puberty of age so that they can also handle the girls and everyone else?
Yes. I think there needs to be certain discussions, and if I'm not wrong, there are sessions where I think in the higher licenses where they talk about dealing with girls and when it comes to puberty. But I feel you need to talk about it more on the grassroots level and while doing the lower license, because people need to understand. And if not in the licenses, maybe we can have separate workshops where there is a physio or a doctor who comes in along with the coach, and actually he talks about all these changes, because it's important for a coach to understand, because sometimes the coach will have all the good intentions but he just doesn't know, because he's not like he's not gained the knowledge about it, and then he ends up like being in a loss because the players leave. So it's better for a coach also to understand and then figure out what all these changes are about the growth of an individual, and then go ahead. So it is important to get some kind of knowledge about it.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thanks a lot. And ma'am, if you are comfortable about it, I will just ask one last question, because we all are shaken by the incident which happened a few minutes back. But there's one question which I would have like to ask, if you are comfortable, ma'am.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So, ma'am, one thing we have seen recent trend, like corporate sectors going into the grassroots football and in general football. So,
Yeah.
do you think there is a need to be more creative and a need to go digital, so that we can tap across a larger spectrum of the audience, where we can educate them about equality of gender and girls football? Your thoughts on this?
Okay, now when we are talking about reaching to a larger audience and going digital, let's understand that most of the people cannot really afford devices where we can go digital. Okay, if you're talking about the underprivileged ones, there we need groundwork. There we need people where we can actually go there, meet them in person, conduct workshops, and talk to them. So going digital, of course, and now everything, it's a trend now that everything is digital. No doubt that will help create a leverage for the concept that is on. But when we want to aim a larger audience, I think digital and on ground work both need to go hand in hand, because if we go only digital, then we end up missing on the sector where, like, the underprivileged ones who cannot really afford devices, who don't really know what is happening on digital platform, and that is where talent also lies. So it is important to take both hand in hand and then go ahead. I feel that's when, because of course it's important to let people know the kind of work you're doing, but it's again important to actually get that reach, go out there and create that base to as far as possible, and then create a digital appearance for it.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. I think that answers a lot of questions which the people had in mind. I think we have a few questions. I will just take a look at that. But I think
Yeah.
like people are asking, ki, should we have more female coaches who are comfortable to work with the girls? And I think you have already answered all of those questions.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like there was one question which I felt okay deserves to be mentioned. Like when there when there are a whole lot of group, and there is only one single girl in that group, the parents generally tend to take her away from the field, because they feel ki, okay, my girl is not comfortable alone. So do you think ki we should go for a group of girls for training or something like that, ma'am?
Okay, now see, I can say this is from case to case basis, because
Yeah.
I have seen sessions where I've had only two girls, or say one girl, that has happened, and there is only one girl, and there are around 7 to 8 boys, and she was comfortable enough to play along with them, and her parents were okay because of the environment that is created. So, as I said, there are a lot of social issues that we are facing. So, to get a change in this, first, we really need to get in the head that how, and the topics that I spoke about, getting comfortable, creating approachable environment, creating a base where they are treated equally. So having having that kind of base in place is something that can actually help get this entire situation tackled, because sometimes the girl is comfortable, sometimes she's not, maybe sometimes the girl is comfortable but the parents are not, and maybe sometimes both are not comfortable. So I think this is a case to case basis. It's not the same scenario everywhere. So if the girl is not really comfortable, you really need to go, because see, discomfort is somewhere where you can understand from a person's body language. Like for example, now you can actually see the way I am talking, the entire presence is gone for a toss because of whatever has happened. So it really, like your body language literally shows how what a certain person is feeling. So when it comes to only girl being in the session, you really need to go and approach her and make her understand that it's okay if she is alone, and ask her if she is fine with playing. If she's being negative, you can give her a time. Tell her, okay, you want to think about it, you want to come back in the session, that's her call. But if she understands, if she comes back, then you have achieved your aim as a coach.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. So I think we have had a wonderful session, and this was a really insightful session where we got to know that how important environment is for any training centers or any academy out there, so as to encourage a lot more of girls football. And thanks again, ma'am, for taking your time out. We are really thankful to you for the wonderful session. I think most of them enjoyed, and we have had comments all across YouTube, Facebook, Instagram regarding your session, and I think most of the people enjoyed it, ma'am. And we are really thankful to you. Thanks a
Thank
lot
you
for
for having me
taking
and
out your
giving me
time.
this opportunity. Thank you for the organizers, and wishing safety to everyone. Just be safe, and hope we all get out of this situation pretty good and we're all back on field and doing what we all like to do the best. And yeah, all the best to you guys also. Thank you.